This week on the show, we're doing our 6th lore special. This time, we're going to cover the rest of the playable races that we haven't covered. That's a Norn, Sylvari, and Asura. We're going to dive into their lore, key characters, culture, religion, and everything else that we can muster up and find. We also have what we call news, and where the hell is Super Adventure Box? We got your lore needs covered on Shadow the Dragon. And welcome to Shadow the Dragon. This is episode number 36. And I don't know what the hell to say.
Dang, 36. You forgot the bump music.
The bump music?
Were you going to play the intro music?
The intro music.
No, I already did that. I recorded the intro. Okay, so we'll address the intro now. So in the intro, I say, where the hell is Sab? Or Super Adventure Box or whatever I said. Well, that's because I recorded the intro on Thursday. So every time I try and do something to make the show easier to produce and stuff like that, Mo comes out of the shadows, similar to Gollum, and laughs and snickers and releases news about Super Adventure Box, which we'll talk about next segment. But enough of that.
He's totally listening now, like right this minute. He's listening.
I hope he is, because I have some words for Mr.
You
Mo.
always have words for people, though.
All right, so joining me tonight is Cora and Gallios. That's all I got.
No lovelies, no cool, no nothing. Man,
well,
he is really on it
all right,
tonight.
Here we go. I got it.
Okay.
So joining me tonight, she's always on time. It's Cora. And him, I got to go into game and pull him out of Dumpy Dump to start recording the show. It's Gallios. How's that for off top of my head?
That was awesome. And thank you to the magnanimous Gord, he of the salt columns.
That's right. Well, I'll let you guys
But hey,
go
how y'all doing?
I'm doing good.
Good.
I'm doing good. I'm doing very well. I'm fully caffeinated, so I apologize.
Well, I'm doing okay despite the fact that I possibly have a torn rotator cuff and my knee's starting to give out on me.
What did you do to yourself? Why do you break you?
I've been way overdoing it lately. So between projects in the house, working 2 jobs, I'm a little beat up this week.
Damn. Sorry, bro.
That's all right.
If I was closer, I'd help you at the house, you know.
Yeah. Now we got a lot going on. It's all about construction in the house now because the project's just taking way too long. And a couple of setbacks that we didn't see with the railings and stuff that we were going to put in for the stairs. So it's just silly stuff. So I've been working. I'm doing another 7-day stretch at my second job, and we've been doing inventory prep. So I'm like crawling, literally pulling products off the shelf and crawling into the nether regions of where everything falls to pull it out so we can count it.
Nether region.
Yeah, so it's been tons of fun. But enough about me.
Good times. Good times.
Cora, what have you been up to?
I've been redoing some Heart of Thorns personal story, trying to get achievements, and rage quit the other night because I was trying to do that. What is it? It's in like the first Heart of Thorns. Is it even Heart of Thorns? It might even be the Living Story Season 2, where you have to, I think it's Living Story Season 2, because you're chasing after I was going to say Order of Whispers. That's not it. Caffeine, why are you failing me? The master of the sky people. Oh, God.
Yeah, the Zephyrite.
Thank you. Yeah,
That's
and I'm trying to do the thing that's inspired by Assassin's Creed, where you get up to the highest point and then you jump off and fall into the pile of hay. And it took me forever to make one of the small leaps to get to the next part of the little jumping puzzle, and then I fell off. So I rage quit.
No.
And I haven't been back in game since because I'm not emotionally prepared to try and go back in and do that thing, but that's what I want to be working on. So, and and of course I'm not on a Mesmer because I don't play Mesmer, so I should really be going in there. I should really find a Mesmer. Okay, listeners, if you are a Mesmer and want to help me get that jump, contact me on Twitter.
And which jump was it again?
It's I kind of know the part you're talking about.
Yeah, it's
in which puzzle?
It's in the personal story. No, it's Living Story Season 2. And you got Jory and Casimir, and you have to go through the portals, and Rox and Bram and Timey are left behind because they're too big to be, it's not structurally sound, and so you're going through and you're taking out the Inquest who are trying to get the aspect crystals, and then you're trying to find the clues to why the crash happened, and you're chasing the soundless Sylvari, so it's like you just found out like, oh, the Sylvari is soundless. And then there's this area where there's crashed stuff leaning up against a big rock structure, and you have to climb up the crashed stuff, get onto the rock, jump from the rock onto, I don't know, is it a mizzen mast? I don't know what it is. You have to jump onto that and then continue up. And it took me forever to make the jump from the rock to the mast. And I realized I can only make it if I have my weapon drawn for, I guess I get an extra little bit of jump power because I've been doing it with my weapon not drawn, and all the videos and all the help tips say, oh, well, you just, use your skill that increases your speed or whatever. I'm like, okay, I am, and that's not helping. And I'm not on a Mesmer, so I don't have something that's making me Mesmer fast like they're all doing. So how do I do this on my Revenant?
When you're doing your jumping puzzles, do you look at it from the top or from behind?
For this particular one, I was looking at it from the top. Was I on my Revenant? No, I was on my Necro. And it was just like I was just kept missing it. And I accidentally pulled out my weapon right before trying to make the jump, and I made it. It took me a couple times. Like, I could see myself jump over it, and I was like, what the heck? So it took me like 3 more tries, and then I made it. I got all the way up to the top of that mast, and then started to try and figure out where to go next, and I fell off, and I was like, I'm done.
Yeah. You sound like me.
Yeah. So
that's what I do. I just give up on it, like, to hell with this.
Yeah. Now that I know how to make that part of the jump, I think I'm okay to go back in. Maybe I just need to look at the walkthrough to see, okay, where am I supposed to go so that I don't waste my time? Because this is just driving me crazy. But then my fear is I'll get all the way up to the top, try to make the jump, and miss the hay pile, and then just want to pull out my yarn and never do anything but knit a sad little blanket to wrap myself in.
Are you doing it? You're doing it on your Necro?
Doing it on Necro. I believe.
Do you have a Warhorn?
Yes.
Do you bring your Warhorn?
Skill number 4.
You should use I think it's skill number 4 with the Warhorn. That gives you the speed boost. You should use that
something of the locust or whatever.
Yeah, but you have to be careful. Make sure there's nothing around, even ambient creatures, because if the locusts hit it, then it will actually slow you down.
Okay.
Because it puts you in combat.
I'm halfway up a rock face, so I think I'm okay on the ambient creature thing.
You would think.
Yeah, I am. It's true. I'll give it another try. I'm not the best at jumping. I have gotten better. I'm still getting better because I'm trying to improve it, but me and jumping puzzles, we have issues.
Well, the problem
you're
with
still
the jumping,
better than the worst.
Man, the problem with the jumping puzzles is it's inconsistent hitboxes for where you're making the jump. So it's a purposeful flaw in design. There's a precision that needs to be in a jumping puzzle in a system where there's not precision jumping built in. So that's just my 2 cents on it. But if you keep at it, you'll get it. It's just figuring out where you have to land. That's what's important, and where you have to jump. Because sometimes you have to jump from the point where it looks like both of your feet are actually off of the structure that you're on to make the jump.
Yeah, so I'll be working on that. So we'll see maybe next podcast if I've finished that jumping puzzle or not. And it's really not even that I'm that crazy about the jumping puzzle. I for some reason I have just set my mind on it. I really want to get through Heart of Thorns on my Necro because I'm missing just one single piece of bladed armor.
Yeah.
And that's the chest piece, the light chest piece. So I figured, well, if I do the Heart of Thorns, then I can select the armor piece I want.
Yeah.
Since there's no way I'm getting Verdant Brink to 200% so that I can pick from the chest. Like, that's not happening. So we'll see. But and otherwise, I actually paid. I paid money. I paid real world money to get a drawing done of my main NG Makora.
And it's cute.
And I got the final, and I posted it on my Instagram and Twitter, and it's so cute. I love it.
I love it too. I want to hug it.
Oh, she's so pretty.
It is.
I just love it so much. So I'm totally, not right now. It wasn't, in terms of like commission, I didn't pay, it wasn't that bad. Like, it was like $30. So I'm like, that's totally reasonable for what I got. I am very happy with it. So I would totally want to get my Revenant and my Necro done as well. And I'll probably order more beyond that, but not all at once because then that would be crazy. That would be hundreds of dollars. But I want to give her hundreds of dollars just to draw pictures for me all day long.
Nice.
It is a very good picture.
Isn't it? Audrey Art. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. I've been following her for a while. I really like her style. So
very nice.
I'll totally. I should get that printed on a T-shirt and show up to the next ArenaNet PAX party with it.
You should.
Yeah, it's so cute. She did such a good job. So so that's what I've been up to, trying to make a jump that I can't make and waiting to get my commission. So,
Nice.
What about you guys?
You want me to go first, Gord?
Yeah. She was supposed to say, what about you, Gallios? But
no.
What about you, Gallios? What have you been up to?
Actually, not too much this time around. Playing in my spare time and coordinating with some folks who played a while back and are coming back and want to do some HP. So we'll probably be putting together an HP run soon, possibly this weekend. Depends on tennis, of course. My wife plays tennis, so if she's gone, I don't have anybody here to really give me too hard of a time. So I'll probably help with that. Studying for an exam that I took this morning and passed, thank goodness. Everybody else that took it before me was telling me, oh, it's so hard. It's so hard. And like the first 15 minutes, I was like freaked out because I couldn't find the answer to one question. And it took me like 10 minutes, but then I started answering the questions and it just started flying by and I finished with 33 minutes left. So I was real proud of myself. It was a good day.
You were ready for it. You studied.
Yeah. And it was my daughter's birthday today. So she turned the big 6 and thought she was just Miss Hoity-Toity today. And she's been telling everybody that it's her birthday today and tomorrow. She's going to be just like her mother, who decides that her birthday is the entire month, not just the birthday. Playing lots of Guild Wars, World v World. I say not lots of Guild Wars, but lots of World v World. I played a little bit of unranked PvP, and today I actually did my first ranked PvP and won. So I'm 3/4 of the way through the first stage, and then reset happened. So I left and went and did reset, and then Gord had to come and chase me down to get me here. So, but other than that, not a whole lot more than that. We got some more stuff done around the house, tore everything out of the shed that was covered in yuck. So I got in there and pulled down drywall and restabilized a few of the beams in the wall, and that's about it. Really
Nice.
Not too much more than that. It was a good time. And what about you, Gord? What have you been doing?
I've been playing Mass Effect.
So is it as bad as everybody says, or are they
No,
just
I'm
kind
not-
of whining for no reason?
Yeah, I'm not playing Andromeda. I'm playing Mass Effect 1 from 2007.
Mm,
I got sick of the
good game.
I got sick of the game.
Wait, which? Of
Guild Wars 2, yeah. I just got sick of it. I would log in and I would stare at my hero panel and I'd be like, maybe I'll do this, or maybe I'll do that. It didn't help that I was working a lot this week. But I went and did some stuff in Guild Wars 1, which was nice and refreshing, but I just got very unmotivated in Guild Wars 2. So I put a post up on Twitter about it and got some good suggestions. But now, of course, Super Adventure Box is coming. We'll talk about that in the news again, but that I'm looking forward to. I just need a little bit of fresh air. Because like I said, I was trying to pull news for the freaking show, and I was working on it for 3 days straight. And I came up with a couple things that just were not even driven from ArenaNet. And I came to the conclusion that it will be easier to prove Bigfoot's existence than to find news for Guild Wars 2. And it just, I don't know. I just needed to step back. So I started playing a couple of my Steam games that I have been sitting there from Steam sales past and took a little break. I mean, I log in every day for my daily farming and collect my little daily token, but you know, there's just honestly hasn't been much in game for me lately. So
yeah, and your Godzilla gif today, I laughed so hard.
I did too. I was laughing at work.
Oh my god, I laughed so hard.
But the funny thing was is, you know, I have to change my public perception of me, because I put that out there because, like I said, my shoulder's achy. My knee is giving out on me. I've always had an issue with my left knee, and now because I've been working so much, it's pretty much bone on bone on my left knee, and it doesn't feel very good. And
you're gonna need a knee replacement. Good God.
Maybe not. We'll see. But anyway, between that and the hours I've been putting in, and my commutes to work have been horrendous, because where I live, everybody tries to kill you. Driving around here is akin to being in a mosh pit in a car, and you really have to watch yourself. So between all that, just put me in a foul mood this morning, and I put that Godzilla gif up, and everybody's like, "Oh, Guild Wars 2 is not that bad," and I'm like, "No, it's not even Guild Wars 2 related." You know, so I have to work on my public perception a little bit.
Yeah.
But we did get some good news.
change your branding.
Yeah. We did get some good news and stuff like that. So that's it.
We'll share it.
Yeah,
We'll share it there.
It's been boring. So I got a couple of appointments next week, and we're getting our spindles and railings finally delivered, so that will get up, and then I will feel much better when I can put my man cave back together and have my beautiful 4K TV to watch my movies and PS4 and other things. That'll put me in a better mood, I think. It's hard when you're
nice.
Well, you know, guys, it's hard when you're doing construction in the house and stuff's just torn apart and nothing's where it's supposed to be, and
oh my god.
It's just frustrating.
And it's like every day you pass it and you go, God, I'm gonna get to that like tomorrow. I've got to get this cleaned up. It's driving me insane.
Yeah.
And you pass it, and you just keep passing it, and you keep passing it.
Well,
passing it.
I'll be opening the pool in a couple weeks, and I have to get I'm getting solar panels, and I have to hook them up on the roof and plumb that and everything else. And it's just like, So I mean, as far as my frustration with the game, it was just like, you know, I wish I wrote it down. I was listening to Passionate Casual today, and in their community showcase, there's a podcast I'm going to listen to. I'll put the link to it in show notes, but Jesse was talking about it. And there's a podcast where they were talking about struggles of being in a relationship as a gamer with a non-gamer, and validation of using video games as your release. And I have not been getting that release lately, but I want to listen to that podcast, and I'll put I'll put a link in the show notes because that's probably the only links I'll have in the show notes this week. 'Cause
Link
there's
it
not
and
much.
Twitter it because I'd love to listen
Yeah.
to that as well.
Hey,
I'm. We were just
Ditto.
talking before the podcast. I'm not in a relationship, but I would be that one where I'd be like, dude, let me game. I'll do the laundry later.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, just dribs and drabs like that. But yeah, sorry to bore you guys.
Not boring, man. It's
Yeah.
real life. It happens.
Well, I mean, next podcast I'll be talking about how I'm running trib mode in Super Avenger Box with Romo because he's going to carry me through that.
Ooh,
Yeah,
Right.
and
Me
Romo
as well.
Romo told me. Yeah, Romo told
Have
me
you-
he's got to get me in there. Y'all want to see me have a meltdown? Jesus.
Yeah. Have you seen
Oh.
Tribulation Mode?
No, I haven't.
Why don't
No.
you go on YouTube and watch a couple of the Tribulation Mode videos because it is brutal.
I mean, I struggle with just the normal mode, so I would really appreciate somebody carrying me princess style through the whole thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I rage quit after like 20 minutes. I was
mean-
like, "This is the easy level, you sons of."
With the little
Yeah.
clouds that poop out rainbows? That's the one you
I
were
have
playing?
no idea what it was. I don't remember. All
Oh
I
my
know is I
God.
went in there and I jumped and I fell and I jumped and I fell and I jumped and I fell and I was just over it. I was like, "This is just retarded."
It's epic. It's epic.
You know,
love
I
it.
tell you, if they just changed Guild Wars 2, just changed Guild Wars 2 to 8-bit, we'd probably have a whole lot more happy people in the world.
Yeah. All right, well, that's going to do it for our intro. A little bit longer this week, a little bit of bitching and crying, and we'll get over it. Well,
It's
I'll
okay.
get
The
over
news
it.
is short. News is short, so it shouldn't.
Yeah.
News
We'll
is short.
fly through that.
All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back. And we're back. It's magic.
Bazinga.
Ooh.
All right, so yeah, not too much in Guild Wars 2 news. I stuck with official sources. So the first thing, this is actually pretty juicy news. The API source, well, the API server, I guess it would be called, for Guild Wars 2 went down, and it was because it became very popular, and because of its popularity, they had to put rate limits on it. I guess somebody had built a web page that was pinging. I read it earlier on Reddit, and I don't remember what it was, but it was making something like 10,000 limits or 10,000 pings to the API server per minute. 10,000. So that's heavy web traffic. So what they've done is they took it offline for a couple of days, and they have put rate limits on it. Now, what does that mean? They just limited how many times an application can hit the API server in a given amount of time. So it's kind of like controlling DNS entries, or whatever. But it's not. You're not really going to see something. You might see some API applications take a little bit longer to update, but it's really not that big of a deal because it's not going to bring the API server down much more, as far as I understand it. So it was down for a couple of days. It came back up. I'll put the link in show notes, but it's a little boring to me. They just limited how many times an application can hit the API. So if you heard that it was down, if you saw it was down, that's why it was down. It is back up, and there will be a minimal amount of impact on people, but it's really not going to be that much because nobody should really be hitting the API that frequently, So that's that, the long and short.
Yeah, I'm glad you explained a little bit of that because I'm totally lost on that. I'm like one of these third-party noobs.
Yeah.
I don't use a lot of them, so I'm not real familiar, and I guess I never noticed it because of that. So
Yeah, I mean, I use GW2 efficiency. There's a couple other things that I use that might ping the API server, but I mean, I load in, I let it refresh, and I'm done with it. But, if you have thousands of people doing it and, somebody writes a bad API code because the API is maintained by ArenaNet, but all the API applications are basically developed by community members. And some people are just practicing, they're still in school learning programming, and they're just trying stuff out. They're trying to make something cool, and they break the API. So that's what they did. It was necessary, and that's that. So wee.
Good times, man. I'm glad we have you here to lead us.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to zone out. I was like, this is not my jam.
It's not your jam.
It's not. So I was like, he's going to talk techie stuff, and that's cool, but I'm going to be like, not here for it.
I don't understand completely everything about the API, but I do understand. Think of it this way. You have a lemonade stand, and you have 300 glasses of lemonade, and you can make 300 glasses of lemonade per minute, but you have 600 people coming, all wanting their lemonade at the same time every minute. Okay. It hurts you. It makes you tired. Yeah. It makes you slow down. It puts you behind, and that's really what it comes down to. So now they're saying we will not serve any more than 300 lemonades per minute.
Okay.
Okay. See?
Thank you.
Easy peasy.
Thank you for the Cora version.
All right. So now the real news.
Dun, dun, dun.
A lot of people were begging for this, not just me. A lot of people were begging for this. Super Adventure Box is coming back. Surprise, surprise. I've already mentioned it twice, but it's coming back. It threw me off a little bit because it's starting on March 30th, which is a Thursday, and it's ending on April 20th, which is the magic of the calendar, a Thursday. So they're going Thursday to Thursday with this festival. Now, I did kind of expect this before April 1st because as I read it last year, as I understood it in the blog post that they put up last year, they're not going to be doing an April Fool's Day joke anymore. And I kind of praised them for that because their April Fool's Day joke always becomes a gem shop item. So for them to give us a festival over something in the gem shop, now they probably have a new glider or something like that. So they're not totally giving it up. But I thought that was kind of cool of them because everybody loves Super Adventure Box. A lot of people love it. It's the most, it's probably more popular than Winter's Day, I would say. It's a lot of fun that it's back. It's a nice distraction. I kind of put it up there on Twitter today. I wish they would put out a schedule. My only gripe with this is they waited till, I guess, a week before. I didn't see any need for it. People have been talking about Super Adventure Box since the middle of March, and maybe that's a little bit too early to put out. I think they were a little skittish to put it out because they did confirm on Facebook, one of the programmers confirmed on Facebook that there is no World 3, which we all kind of knew because they said they didn't have the time to work on it. They fixed it up and everything else. And you know what? You could complain about that, but at least we're getting it back as a festival. Now, maybe when the new expansion comes out, maybe they'll take some time then, free some people up then to be able to work on this. But I forgot his name. The jumping puzzle guru. He had said last time, look, we're not adding World 3. We tried to get it all done in the first April Fool's joke because this did start off as an April Fool's joke, and they just ran out of time and they couldn't get it done. It's a lot of work. They had to go back and scale down World 2 because it was much harder than World 1. They fixed all that stuff up, and it's back. So we have it for about 4 weeks. We're going to play with it. It's probably a safe bet that the next Living Story chapter will come the Tuesday after that. I'm thinking. I don't think that they're going to be silly enough to drop it while Super Adventure Box is going on, and that gives them a couple days. So it's probably episode 5 will probably release on April 25th, which puts them closer to the 3-month range, right?
Which day?
April 25th. If they release on April 25th, I forgot when the last. Let's see if I can find it.
I'm trying to remember when the last release was.
Yeah, I'm right on the Guild Wars site, so I'll see if I can pull it up. The Guild Chat came out on February 24th, so it must have been right before then. So yeah, I mean, whatever. I'm just happy to have something.
I know how much you love that because you talk about it even when it's not even close.
Yeah.
You talk about Super Adventure Box. I just wish I could get into it. I just can't. I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that when I did play games like Super Mario Brothers and all that jazz, I would rage quit that as well.
Yeah.
I am not a jumper. I don't know. I guess I was way ahead of my time, looking forward to cleaner, sharper graphics, et cetera, et cetera. And I just never got into it. I tried doing the Super Adventure Box, and it's kind of fun, but
it's
I don't know.
too.
I wish I could get into it because so many other people enjoy it. You know,
Yeah.
I just don't get my jollies out of it.
Well, I mean, that's fine. My only issue with this is, and I put this out, Kitten Theory on Twitter said today, you know, they're never going to put out enough content for us to stay busy all the time. And I agree with that. And I don't have a problem with that. My issue with this is a festival. This is the first time we had a festival. So with Lunar New Year, you know, Lunar New Year is coming within a week or two when they return from break. You know that Halloween usually comes out at least anywhere from a week to a couple days before Halloween, the holiday of Halloween. You know when Winter's Day is coming. It's usually right before Christmas. So you know when these are coming out. This is the first time that this returned as an annual festival. So, you know, there was a possibility that it wouldn't come out until September. Now, granted, that's maybe only a 3% possibility in my book, but when you're just left with the blindfold on and you're trying to grope your way around in the dark, you don't know what the hell's going on. I don't see why they can't say at the beginning of the month, hey, we know Super Adventure Box is coming. We're planning on releasing it around the, 30th, depending on when things change. I can see that there's a little bit of reluctance because it seems like every time there's an announcement, there's a group of players, sometimes me, that do nothing but complain. You should have done this. You should have done that. But I mean, it doesn't matter. There's a difference with hype. I understand you don't want to overhype things, but Mr. Mo, you went the wrong way. You went the absolute other way, and now there's nothing but silence. And we're getting announcements 3 to 7 days before something happens. You have to just come to the middle a little bit more. And, one of the things that I put out there was we need Lunar New Year, even though I dislike that one because I feel it's just Dragon Ball. It's still a festival. It still gives you something to do to distract you. Right after that, give us Super Adventure Box. Right after that, give us Dragon Bash back. Even if it's just a silly thing, you can change the name of the candies and everything else. Change it to Dragon Candy or something like that. You don't even have to make new stuff. Then make a new episode for around September. Then have something for the Halloween. And then you have Winter's Day and say, these are the time frames that these are going to come out. You'll always have Lunar New Year in February. You'll always have Super Adventure Box in April. You always have, late March, early April. You always have this then, or release a general release window at the beginning of the year. So at least people have something to look forward to when you're not cranking out current events and you're not cranking out living story content. That's my only gripe with it.
Yeah. It's going to be cool though. I think it's neat that they're doing a festival instead of just the puzzle box. So that's kind of cool.
Well, yeah, but even still, we got, hey, Super Adventure Festival is coming. And buy our merch. You can get our merch on We Love Fine. Buy the merch. Buy the merch. Buy the merch. Buy.
We do have
Gem Shop.
They do
Gem
have
Store.
to have. They do have to have the gym shop. I mean,
and I'm going to play setting me up for my rant, sir.
Listen. You do.
I'm
going to
stay out of it.
I do have to have a rebuttal on it. I mean, if we don't, then we're not doing our due diligence to everybody.
I love your opinion.
But
give it to me.
But you got to have something. I mean, if I know it gets a little bit irritating with the gym shop stuff, but we play a free game. It's got to be maintained somehow. You don't shit dollars to make the video game, to pay the devs who have to work to make all of this content that we're begging for. you're not getting a ton of new subscribers because you did that in the beginning. Yeah, it was all great in the beginning because everybody was subscribed. I'm not subscribing, but purchasing the game, and that allowed them to continue working. But you're going to have that tail off. I mean, that's with every MMO, including the big guns. So there's got to be, if we're not going to have a subscription, you've got to have a gem shop. You've got to sell things. And yes, if they have an opportunity to sell it, why not? I would like to see quite a few more things thrown in that are not hard to make, which is where I'm guessing you're going with it. These things aren't hard to make. It shouldn't take a lot of time, yada, 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 but you still got to pay somebody an hourly or a salary. So you've got to have some kind of money coming in. It's that, or we go to a subscription base.
Nope.
And which I would pay a subscription for this game, or I would have a long time ago.
I'm fine with Gem Store, but I wouldn't pay subscription. So, and I'm on your side, Gallios.
Yeah,
you always are.
And I'm just, I'm not trying to. I'm just trying to show. I'm trying to take up for them a little bit. And granted, I do agree with you 75% of the time, Gord. So don't get me wrong. It's just, how do you pay for it? Give me another thing, and I will probably get it. But other than that, how do you pay for the game if you don't put items in the gem shop?
It doesn't.
Every other game does it.
Every other game does it because they had to.
WildStar
had to. SWTOR had to go to free to play. TISO had to go to free to play. Guild Wars 2 did not come to the market free to play. And now, if you were not a Guild Wars 1 player, you're kind of exempt from this. You don't know this feeling. But we went from, in Guild Wars 1, we went from a annual, even Nightfall came out 9 months after Factions. But you went from a game with no cash shop. Vanilla Guild Wars had no cash shop. Factions came, no cash shop. Nightfall came, they started the cash. Well, a current, something like the current cash shop. You could buy, no, I don't think in vanilla you could even buy extra storage tabs or whatever, but you could purchase things. You just bought things like extra character slots, yes,
and stuff like that,
which is fine. So going from a system where you bought a box game once a year and you could play whatever game, you didn't have to have vanilla to play, or prophecies to play Nightfall or Factions. You could play any of them separately. So going from a game where you pretty much planned on paying, $35 to $50, I think it was $49.99 for the game, if I remember correctly. So you pay $50 for the game, we'll say, for argument's sake. You knew you were paying that to play the game. You got 2 free character slots with the game. You could buy more character slots if you wanted to. Then they started adding other things like the costumes that came in. They started adding other things, the bonus mission packs and other things. It was a very unobtrusive cash shop. Mm-hmm. They planned. Now, when Guild Wars 2 first came out, it was not free to play. It was buy to play with gem shop support. So it was much different. And as the game went to free to play, because that's where they evolved, now it's very hard for me to not say that the gem shop is guiding development for the game. And it's not working. Last quarter, NCSoft reported Guild Wars' historical low profit over Korean dollars, however they figure it out over there, because it makes no sense to me, but they're not making as much money as they were when the game first launched, and it's because they just can't sell this stuff. But the response is, I screwed up last week. I believe I said it was Leah Hoyer. It was actually Lindsay Murdoch, who's working on the material storage change, the only dev who's working on it on her own time, out of the goodness of her heart, which is great, and I appreciate that. But management, again, is saying, no, you can't work on that because you have to work on this. And you don't know who's working on what, but every single week you can plan on something new coming into the gem shop, and you don't know when you're getting your content. And if it
I can agree with that part. Yeah,
if it keeps going like this, that's what rubs me. That's the only thing that rubs me. I paid $130 for shared inventory slots before I figured out what the hell I was doing. and made the connection that, oh, gee, I wouldn't need these shared inventory slots if I had a keyring. I don't like complaining about the game, but
that makes sense. A manipulation is what you're looking at.
Where it's rolling forward into this gem shop free-to-play game. Going free-to-play was the worst thing for Guild Wars 2 as far as me as a player, because it is messing with my experience in the game. There's worse gem shops out there. There's pay-to-win gem shops in some MMOs out there, and Guild Wars 2 is not that. But when you're told, no, you can't develop a keyring for players, even though there's 50 different key-rings, you can't develop that because you need to work on this, because we can't justify the dev time, the investment of the dev time for the payback that we're going to get. That's what's happening.
I do agree on that aspect. I want to say one of my first few podcasts with you guys. I know I mentioned Pixar. I believe it's Pixar does a thing where it's like the 80-20 rule. 80% of a person's time, of an employee's time, you're working on your assigned project. And then 20% of the time, you work on whatever you think would be cool. And that's how they've gotten Pixar has gotten some really, really good things out of their employees, is from that 20% of the time. It's not, stay after hours. It's 20% of the time they are paying you to be creative, to come up with new things. And that's where, if ArenaNet implemented something like that, they can have a dev going, I'm going to make a keyring. And yeah, it's not going into the gem store.
Yeah.
Probably. But oh my God, players really are really happy with that. It's making them happier with the game overall. It's upping our engagement level. Somebody worked on a new armor set that is going to go in, they were synced with another person, and it's going in as a current event thing that you can do and earn a whole new armor set. Or somebody, a couple more people teamed up and they decided that they were going to fix dungeons or something.
Yeah.
And that's where you get those things that players are complaining about. You get them fixed by people who are passionate about them.
Yeah.
And so they're going to be bright and shiny again. They're going to work well because they're listening to what the players are saying. And it is in that 20% of time that you're telling them, go find your passion project. Go create your passion project. Maybe it's not going to wind up in the game. Maybe we're going to be like, yeah, that was a cool idea. It doesn't really work for what we're trying to do, though. But that, but that sparks something else. Well, why don't we take that and evolve it into this thing that will be in the game? Or you see somebody who is maybe not on the art team do something artsy just to see, like, oh, hey, I have an idea. And you learn, you have a new skill. Let's put that to use. Or you have a skill we didn't know about. So I really think not having that, if they don't have that in the studio, which it sounds like from what you guys are saying, they don't. I think that is doing a disservice to the studio, to the game, and to the employees.
Exactly.
Who are the strength behind the game.
Don't get me wrong. I understand that the devs want to do this stuff, but they have to do what they're told to do. And this is another thing that I see, and maybe I'm just seeing it. It's a divide and conquer mentality right now. When you go back to the beginning of the game, you could get a piece of content where 2 or 3 of the devs would be like, yeah, we worked on that. Or 5 or 6 of the devs came and did that. Even going back to raids where they interviewed the devs that worked on that stuff, you don't have that now. And from the sounds of it, people are getting mixed from team to team to team. Okay, you're on this team, you're going to build this thing. Now go to this team and build that thing. When you start getting into that, it turns into a point where, you don't have devs that are completely vested in dungeons, because they might work on a pile of rubble, then they have to go and work on something else, and then they go and work on something else. So now there's less and less that they can even come to. And maybe I'm just looking too deep into it, but that's how I see it. And this is what's killing the game for me. It's just how I see it. I'm sick of hearing about Gem Shop, and you'll see when I put the show notes together for the first scorecard of the year. Let's compare how long the quality of life updates that we've gotten since November of last year compare to how many Gem Shop updates that we've gotten And in their patch notes, that's where I pulled the bullet points from. So that's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I really think that they, and I get where you're going. So I really think that they would, speaking of the quality of life stuff, I think they would actually make more sales based on quality of life upgrades. You know, yeah. Cora would love to see the armor, as would I think. And you the key ring, as I would like to see it. So I think you know, because that's kind of, when you think about it, the Guild Wars 1, that's the stuff that you bought in the cash shop.
Yeah.
You know, so that makes sense, you know.
And they're still there. I mean, I don't want to make it sound like, you know, Guild Wars 2's cash shop is so evil. Guild Wars 2 cash shop is probably the highest integrity cash shop that I've seen in the MMOs that I've played. So that's not the issue. The issue is that the eyes on development for the cash shop. And we don't know what's coming. They might release a completely new expansion that makes your eyes melt out of your head. And if they do that, then I can come on the show and say, man, have I been wrong for the past year and a half? You know, but right now, for the dev time of what we are seeing, just doesn't match up to the resources they have, I guess. And I've said that for a long time, so I'm going to beat the dead horse. We're going to move on to that, because now...
Yeah.
Now comes the ninja news. I have ninja news.
No!
Ninja news / Gord rant.
Oh, God. Wasn't the last 15 minutes a Gord rant?
It was kind of Gord rant, but I didn't want it to be.
Kinda.
It was my fault. It was my fault. I opened my big fat coon ass mouth and got him going. That's what it was.
Well, no, the thing of it is, I don't. This podcast is not meant to be Gord's Bitch Fest. It's really not. When we record the podcast, it's 12 a.m. right now, my time. I have to be to work at 8 a.m. When I come home from work tomorrow, I'm going to spend some time with my wife. And then I'm going to spend 3 to 4 hours editing this podcast so I can have it ready for release. I give up my weekend to do this podcast. Believe me, I do not want to come on this podcast and complain. I really don't. But I have words for some people, because I did a Discord poll, and overwhelmingly,
oh dear,
I had support. The question was, are the Care Bears in the community justified in constantly defending ArenaNet? And overwhelmingly, it was no, Care Bears drool. And only one poor sap wrote the Care Bears rule. Now, don't get me wrong, people that defend ArenaNet are not Care Bears. But there's people out there that
I feel like you're looking at me.
Defend ArenaNet over everything. And I just want to say to you, you have to criticize once in a while. I love this game more than any other game I've ever played. I'm fully invested in this game. I want nothing but success for this game, but I feel like I have to speak my mind on certain things that might be considered overly critical of ArenaNet, because they need to hear it. And there's nothing wrong with that.
I do criticize sometimes.
You do not have to be defensive, dear. This is not about you. I don't see you as a Care Bear.
By the fact of, do you?
I do not. I do not see you as a Care Bear.
What am I? Do I dare I ask?
You are less salty than me.
My Little Pony.
No.
I like pony.
No, this isn't for people that defend ArenaNet, and this is for, there are people, if you spend enough time in Reddit, you know who I'm talking about.
God,
any post.
No, I avoid Reddit.
Here is a big example. A large contingent of Spanish-speaking streamers, content creators came on and basically strongly asked for an explanation from ArenaNet why they were not going to replace the Spanish community manager. Now, I mean, at first it was like,
replaced, like he quit or they fired him?
He left a long time ago.
Oh.
I think he left of his own accord I want to say over a year ago. Now, there's already people out there rolling their eyes, and maybe they are, maybe they're not. But when you go through that Reddit stream, there's people, and I see some names, where these same people go into every single thread and just poop on whatever the conversation is. Like, oh my God, ArenaNet can't see this criticism. They're going to break, But anyway, there was people, these were people that were, from what I read and what I understand, the Spanish community manager, I don't even know his name, and I apologize for that, but he worked very closely with the Spanish-speaking partners in ArenaNet, and they miss him. They feel a large void. I mean, it wasn't just working with them. It was promoting their YouTube stuff, promoting their Twitch streams, having events, doing meetups and everything else, and they just want to know, hey, what's going on? And the community, whether ArenaNet answer them or not is their priority. They don't have to. I understand that. But there was a bunch of people in the Reddit community that immediately jumped on them or like, you're wrong. You're wrong. No other game does it. And you shouldn't have expected to have this community for long. Well, they had the community for 4 years. ArenaNet had the plan to set up this community. They had this great community manager who was working closely with partners and actually trying to promote the game through players that were producing content. Now, that doesn't mean that nobody else in ArenaNet is doing that. They do that. They do try and, they do community showcase. They do a bunch of stuff. So it's not like nobody else in ArenaNet is not promoting people or tweeting about people or retweeting tweets or promoting art or anything. They are. But it just makes me really, I don't know. It makes me kind of sick to my stomach to see these same people just have this Care Bear attitude. And, I just wanted to say, you have to criticize once in a while. Not every time like I do, but once in a while. Period. So it's not as bad. I got my fire out. I'm tired.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, I'm tired.
Good ninja news, buddy. Good ninja news.
Yeah.
So are we ready?
Are we ready for what?
To move on.
Oh, to move on. Listen to Gallios. See, Gallios is a master manipulator. You hear that? He's
you
not.
Love me for it.
He is not poking the hornet's nut. So, I mean, Care Bears, whatever. I just feel like you need to criticize once in a while. Period.
I agree with you. You should criticize every once in a while. If you don't provide constructive criticism, you never know where you need to move. You don't know what direction you have to go. So constructive criticism is always good. So let's not call it a rant. Let's not call it a rave. Let's just call it constructive criticism.
Exactly.
So.
Well, but the other thing.
I'm with you, buddy.
The other thing I do want to note is the devs don't need the constructive criticism. They don't need it. These guys and girls, I imagine that like they're afraid to stick their head out the door because they're waiting for the tomato to smack them in the face or something. Because there's just sometimes like somebody will put a post up, especially on their personal Twitter, and be like, "Oh yeah, I did this today," and like, "Where's Super Adventure Box, you bitch?" It's like, what are you doing?
Damn.
Yeah, well, it's like just what was going on with the Mass Effect Andromeda thing, where people went after a specific dev who worked on it for maybe a year or so, and it was a female, and they attacked her directly, blaming her for everything wrong with Mass Effect Andromeda because it wasn't the second coming. You don't attack the people.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't. There's no one person is, this is solely, it's this. If you have a problem, complain to the studio. Complain
it's
to
definitely
the
a management.
publisher.
Yeah, it's definitely management.
Complain to you can, to a degree, if you want to complain to the management person, okay. But again, it's a person. You don't go after them. You don't attack them directly. You don't threaten them, for sure.
Yeah, that stuff's no good.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you want to complain, be like, hey, I really wanted to like the game, but I didn't. I was disappointed by it. Like, be civilized. You all took English in high school. Your teachers taught you how to create a constructive criticism for a reason. Like, use it. So don't be poop heads.
Well, I mean,
and attack people directly. No, there's no reason for it.
I mean, some people get very heavily invested in the game. I get very heavily invested in the game, and
There's
being
very heavily invested in a game, and then there's being a poop head.
Oh yeah, well, when it crosses over to entitlement, but I'm probably gonna cut this whole thing out. I think it sucks.
That's fine. Let's move on then. Let's
move on.
Let's get to the meat and taters.
Meat and taters. All right, so that's gonna do it for the news. We're gonna take a quick break, and we will be right back. And we're back. God, I love that song. I miss Jeremy Soule. The people at ANET now do a great job with music, but God, he just, like, his stuff just sings to my heart. Did I lose everybody?
Oh, sorry. I forgot. I always forget about the mute button. Like, I'm trying to be quiet.
I'm
answering back. Like, I'm answering back, and the whole time my mic's unmuted.
Okay, well, mine wasn't exactly the same. I did mute, and then I had the problem of, where's the mute button? Where do I unmute? He's talking. He's asking a question. Oh, it's okay. Gallios will say something. Why isn't Gallios saying something?
I was totally saying something, and my mic was muted.
It's all good.
Pisses me off. It's like I lost the emotional answer I gave, because I'm with Gord. Like, that song is just, I don't know. It just brings me back.
Yeah, there's just certain songs that just grabs me right by the heart, where it's like, oh.
They're doing the symphony, well, not the symphony, but one of the symphonies up here is doing the Guild Wars music.
Yeah, I'm in New York.
I mean, I'm close enough where I could go and I would enjoy going, but I don't think I'm going to go because it would still be a little bit of a drive. Yeah. And I'm really lazy. Like,
okay, well, let's stick. Let's stick. We've done enough tangents tonight. All right.
What's tonight's topic, Gord?
I love you, Cora. All right. So tonight, what we're gonna do is we have been doing a bunch of lore specials, and I just kind of realized that we never finished up the other 3 playable races. So I wanted to go through the Sylvari, the Norn, and the Asura real quick, just to give a background. And we still have one more lore special. I haven't forgot about your request, Ben. That's going to be the next one. So
what's the next one?
It's a surprise.
What?
I don't tip my hand, lady. All right. So we've all taken our designated assignees, and I have to say thank you to Gallios, because he loves me, and I love him.
Hey,
back.
I mean, I could have been like,
boy,
I want that one.
My boy, Blue.
You could have. All right, so who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
All right.
Since you boys have been talking a lot tonight, I'll go first. So I picked the Asura, partially because I was already tweeting about them a little bit. I backed off on my tweets this past week so that people would have interesting stuff to actually listen to in the podcast. So the Asura, I'm going to read the in-game description. These alchemagical inventors may be short in stature, but they're intellectual giants. Among the Asura, it's not the strong who survive, but the clever. Other races believe they should rule by virtue of their power and strength, but they're deluding themselves. In due time, all will serve the Asura. Oh. Yeah, so they're cocky little bastards. They were originally, they lived below the ground. They were a subterranean race, and I guess when they were first around Earth, and when humans were still new to the Earth, Asura had been seen, but at the end of Guild Wars 1, it had been so long since anybody had seen an Asura that many humans just thought they were a myth. Like, they were just an imaginary creature. They're not real. And then Primordus started to wake up, sort of. The Great Destroyer woke up, sent the little mini destroyers, and the Asura started surfacing. And so we first see them at the end of Guild Wars 1's timeline. And we defeat the Great Destroyer, and Primordus stays asleep for a little bit longer. But yeah, they built their primary central transfer chamber right next to what they thought was a giant dragon statue. Wasn't giant dragon statue. It was Primordus. That was how they were powering all their Asura gates at the time, was the magic flowing out of Primordus. So, oops. So yeah, when he awoke, just destroyed everything. And so yeah, they all were forced above ground. Physiologically, they're small with big eyes as an evolutionary trait of being a subterranean race. Big eyes means you can see in darkness. Underground is a little bit dark because the lack of sun. And being so short means that you don't have to make massive tunnels to get around. You can make smaller tunnels, which are quicker to make. Male and females basically are the same. I mean, the only difference is really their voices, and you can style your hair a little bit differently. But, you know, they're not big on the gender typing of other races. So armor's pretty much the same. Basic clothing, pretty much the same. Females do give birth to live young. I tweeted that, and somebody made the joke of, you know, it would be horrifying if they gave birth to dead young. And by live young, I mean they birth, right? They birth screaming babies that come out of the womb versus laying an egg like a platypus. And there have been reports that Asura can speak their first words up even as early as like a day after being born, but other Asura are like, no, it's still really basically babble. It takes a little bit longer. So we're not really sure, but they do speak very young compared to human babies. They live about 5 to 10% longer than the average human life, or would if they would stop blowing themselves up in laboratory accidents. So
that was my favorite tweet of the week, by the way.
Thank you. Their culture, they value intelligence above basically all other attributes of a person. And an individual Asura will dedicate their entire lifespan to building up a portfolio of successful projects or becoming the leading expert on even the tiniest aspect of the arcane. They constantly seek to prove their own intellectual superiority and, by extension, the superiority of the Asura race. So, if they were allowed to rule the world, they would totally take it and be, oh god, what was it? Dr. Evil Genius. It would be bad. It'd be bad. So, good thing the other races balance them out. They are very rude, typically, towards non-Asura. You'll often hear them call other intelligent beings that aren't Asura Abuka, which is a piece of folklore from them. It's the only Asura language word that we know of. The Asura have their own Asuran language, but we haven't heard any of the other words except for Buka, which is actually a monster within their lore that they would use to scare children into behaving. So, you know, just like a human in our world would tell, well, I mean, I would hope not too many humans, but like, you better behave or the boogeyman's going to get you. It was that sort of thing. You know, you better study and do well, or otherwise the Buka is going to come and drag you away kind of thing. Which now that I think about it, I'm like, that would be a great horror movie. So they have 3 colleges. The College of Statics? Am I right? Statistics. Thank you. Statistics. Apparently the caffeine is failing. College of Dynamics, and my favorite, the College of Synergetics. And they each focus on different aspects. They've each got a dean of their college. We don't actually know who the dean of, I believe it's Synergistics is. I have my theories. I've posted them on my Twitter account before. I'll be posting more about Asura lore and that all again because somebody requested it. But they also study under mentors before they can then graduate and really come into their own and join a crew. Crews are very important. KREW. And the Inquest is not really, it's not a college, it's like a mega crew. So that's a cool fact about the Inquest, is just, it's a mega crew who believes that the eternal alchemy can be controlled and manipulated like any other machine that can be created. The eternal alchemy is basic. It's not their religion. It's what they believe in. So it is connected to the religion, but it's in some ways it's more maybe like Buddhism or Eastern religions, where it's not a god that rules the world. It is this sort of all-encompassing energy and process that everybody is a part of. Everybody is a cog in this machine, the eternal alchemy. And some people have, said they've been able to see it. We played through the game and we saw Scarlet and Omad's machine. Scarlet went crazy after, potentially seeing the eternal alchemy. Our commander went into the machine to save Taimi, and we saw something that we think was the eternal alchemy. So beyond that, we're not really sure what the eternal alchemy is, but it is this all-encompassing energy that controls everything, or is connected to everything, I should say. So the Asura don't really have organized government. They have their crews, which are their small elite task force to, research and study. Primarily, their governing body is the Arcane Council, which is just really only governs Redisum, and I guess now overseeing the research going on at Radanovis. But beyond the area right around their home city, going, like, if you went to Lion's Arch, the Arcane Council really doesn't have much control going that far out, but you don't necessarily want to be in bad graces with the Arcane Council. And nobody really wants to be on the Arcane Council. It's sort of like jury duty. You get called up to do it, and there's always the deans of the college as part of the Arcane Council. But everybody would rather be in their own lab working on their own projects, because you're not going to get famous off of being on the Arcane Council, with the exception of the Asura, and I cannot remember his name right now, who is the leader of the Arcane Council. He kind of wants to rule the world and is a little bit of a jerk. So he likes being on the Arcane Council, but that's just because he's on a power trip. It's Flax. High Counselor Flax is on a power trip. And the Arcane Council also has their secret police, the Arcane Eye, that they can use to cause some mischief. I really should not have had that Thai iced tea. I feel like a gerbil in one of those hamster wheels, like my brain is just running. Let's look at the colleges real quick. So, College of Statistics, they are analytical and cautious, preferring to do their work correctly the first time and then build things after. So they're sort of the, measure twice, cut once people, and would be really annoyed by people who are like, yeah, let's just cut the piece of wood and see if it fits. They do large-scale projects such as building cities and the massive levitating stones that power the cities. They're very conservative compared to the other colleges and prefer well-understood tools versus trying unexpected things. And the dean is Counselor Ludo. And then there's College of Dynamics, which is, they're described as being typically enthusiastic about their highly experimental work. They spontaneously imagine potential solutions to problems no one else yet perceives. They are known for devising ingenious, highly unstable, and equally unpredictable contrivances. And they're always on the bleeding edge of Asura high magi technology. So they're also interested in char technology, which is really cool. And Counselor Zudo, who is the twin to Ludo, or at least sibling, I believe twin though, is the Dean of College of Dynamics. And Jeff Grubb compared College of Dynamics to chemical engineering. Finally, we have College of Synergetics, which is my favorite, is the college that studies the magical metaphysics and the theory of abstract structures. So they're very into studying the connections to the eternal alchemy. They study the patterns and mystical complexities over the development of concrete applications. So, these are the guys that are, and ladies that are into like string theory and, parallel universe kind of theory. And if I had to equate them to something in our world, Jeff Grubb equates them to, nuclear engineers. But they have been described as muzzy-headed because they're in, theoretical science here, or theoretical magi science, I should say. And their dean isn't specifically stated anywhere in game. So there was a past dean that still got the honorary title. Once you've been a dean of a college, if you get out of it alive, you get to keep it as an honorary title. But yeah, we don't know officially who the current dean is. But in game, when you see Counselor Ludo and Counselor Zudo together, Flunt is always nearby. So I strongly suspect that Flunt is the unknown dean of the College of Synergetics. That is my theory. I don't have any more proof to back it up besides what I can see in game that points me to that direction, but I would be very surprised if it turns out not to be Flunt. Also, Taimi is in the College of Synergetics, and Flunt is the one that goes to her and is like, hey, give me that stuff to control the waypoints, and I'm going to take it into safekeeping. And why would she have to give it over if it wasn't the dean of her college, ordering it? So, yeah. I suspect Flunt, and I am just waiting for ArenaNet to put something in game that proves it so that I can be all, I was right. I think that's kind of about it. I mean, they're very, very straightforward. I feel like they do have a lot of great lore. Like I said, we did see them in the first game. I feel like they looked a little creepier in the first game, though. They were a little more golem, like Lord of the Rings golem-like. And
they were still kind of underground too then.
They were still kind of underground. I mean, very, very underground. So we're forward 250 years. I feel like evolution would have favored ones that could handle being out in the sun a little bit better. But they still have their very sharp teeth. Teeth? Did I just say it with an F? Teeth. They have teeth.
That's perfect. Very sharp teeth.
They have very sharp teeth. And they're still, arrogant little jerks. They are. I do love them. I don't play my Asura very often because I can't get over how tiny they are. So tiny. I like my human and my Norn and my Sylvari better. But speaking of Norns and Sylvari, I'm going to pass the baton. Who's going next?
Do you want me to go next, Gord?
I'll go next.
Okay.
Because
Gord the Norn.
Yeah, Gord the Norn. Norn are better than Sylvari anyway. So.
Yeah, I'm not gonna disagree.
They have much more epic, longer lore because they've been around longer.
The Norn, right?
The Norn, yes.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Go.
So the Norn are a 9-foot-tall race that currently inhabit the central Shiver Peak Mountains, with some living near the abandoned dwarven structures. The individualistic Norn live for the hunt, so their tracking, stealth, and killing skills make them invaluable allies in any combat situation, and the largest gathering of Norn one can expect to find outside trading posts is the hunting parties that have united to combat a powerful foe. So Norn are very brazen, very confident, and pretty much seek to advance their own legend. So keep that in mind. Norn's physiology. The Norn normally have the appearance of very large humans, but they are able to shift into were creatures of one of the spirits of the wild. In their humanoid form, they are not only tall at around 9 feet, but their proportions are much broader. Wow, I still can't say it.
Hey, I said teeth, so I'm not gonna complain. You say whatever you need to.
But their proportions are much broader and more heavily muscled than a typical human. Thrulin the Lost, who is a Jotun who hangs around Holbrecht, describes the Norn as being giants along with the Jotun. Norn can have long lives. A Norn might live to 120 years old and maintain their good health and vitality for a long time, though very few Norn die of old age. Norn have a broad range of skin colors, and light-skinned Norn living in Lion's Arch have their skin tanned by the sun. According to Cranks, Norn generate a considerable amount of body heat at the slightest exertion. In their transformed shape, they take on the upright half Norn, half animal form, taking after one of the animals of the spirits of the wild. Their were form is furred, fanged, and clawed, and grants the Norn attributes depending on the animal they transform into. The transformation between Norn and were form is described as a blurring between the two, with the form transformed into gaining a solid appearance over a short period of time. Any clothing or armor worn by the Norn is covered by the were form. It is not known if wounds or poison persist through the transformation. Although it is implied by some Norn in Guild Wars that the Norn are able to interbreed with humans, Norn-human hybrids are not possible because the 5 main races cannot cross-fertilize each other. Norn culture is highly individualistic and focuses on personal success and glory, particularly when gained from the hunt or battle. The Norn do not fear death, as they believe the bold and strong can achieve immortality, but they do fear they will be weak and end up forgotten. As a result, each Norn seeks to prove themselves, to build their legend through feats of individual valor and great victories. Every Norn hopes that their legend will be told by the Skald and celebrated at a moot with story and song. So a Skald is basically a Norn bard. They travel the land and they find songs and sing about only those worthy to be sung about. And a moot is basically a Norn party. Lots of alcohol. Norn usually have a great sense of personal honor, for a Norn without respect from others is already forgotten and therefore dead. For many Norn, the focus on prestige means they're willing to accept any challenge which will prove their worth. They will never give up on their battle, quarry, or friends, even if it means years spent tackling a strong enemy or a difficult task. Yet for other Norn, the pursuit of prestige translates to bragging, bullying, unwise snap decisions, and unwillingness to listen to reason. Which is most Norn. Norn are a hardy and proud people, quick to anger, but then quick to forgive. They are by their nature a race of optimists, keeping a positive outlook, even though they have been driven from their homeland. A setback is seen as just another challenge to overcome. They respect those that can best them in a fight, so brawling among Norn is common. Drinking alcohol, often to excess, is a large part of Norn culture. Being drunk and fighting is not an uncommon combination. For example, Norn ale moots feature competitions of skill which require the competitors to be very drunk to compete. In modern times, the Norn hold an annual grand moot called the Great Hunt. The Great Hunt features a dangerous beast for fighters and hunters to try and kill, as well as what is usually at a typical moot. In order to join the Great Hunt, a Norn must prove himself worthy by presenting a trophy from a recent kill. The Norn also hold, at least historically, a specialized moot called an ale moot, which specializes in testing how much one can drink and still compete an obstacle course of sorts. A Norn might proudly trace their worthy ancestors through many generations and may pass a common name through the families, such as Olaf Olafsson, seventh son of Olaf. But the great ancestry of family connections do not grant automatic respect for the Norn. Everyone is judged not by their lineage or associated group, but by what deeds they have done. As a result, the Norn are often more tolerant of an individual to whom other races might treat with hostility by association. For example, the sons of Svanir are tolerated. There is no such thing as infamy to the Norn. For example, a Norn who achieves respect from their peers through deeds that might be considered underhanded by human standards has still accomplished what the Norn value most, and is seen as equal to a Norn who has performed more respectable acts. Two Norn will marry, but only if they are of equal status. During the wedding, someone must speak on behalf of the couple in order to show that they are a worthy match for each other. Despite the cold of their homes, the Norn are often lightly clad. This exposes skin, which is frequently elaborately tattooed in Celtic-style motifs. The Norn religion. Norn have shamanistic religion where they revere totem animals of the spirits of the wild. The spirits of the strongest, bravest, wisest, or most cunning animals of the Shiver Peaks. The Great Spirit is Bear, who is seen as the strongest of all the spirits and is said to have granted the Norn their ability to become the bear. The worship of the spirits Snow Leopard, Raven, and Wolf is also prevalent because of the assistance they gave to the Norn in the past on their exodus south. There are many other totem spirits among the Norns, such as Ox, Eagle, and Worm, but they are not as widely revered. Each spirit has any number of shaman. A shaman devotes themselves to a spirit's sacred area, serving as guardians to that area and teachers of the lessons of that spirit. The 4 most important spirits have huge spirit lodges built in their honor in Holbrook. These are governed by the most powerful of shamans, the speakers of Holbrook. Each spirit animal has a Havround shaman, a single Norn with a connection to the spirit through the mist. As with other aspects of their lives, the Norn take an individual approach to their religion. Groups of Norn, such as families, larger lodges, or isolated homesteads, tend to revere a particular animal spirit over the others, calling forth its special attributes so they might emulate it. This means in some areas a particular spirit is well known, where in others it is not. There is some tension between the adherents of some spirits. For example, adherents to Bear might see Raven's approach as deceptive and therefore weak and dishonorable. The Norn draws...
I've like been biting my lip normally because I was like, I said teeth. I don't care what you say. Havroon. It's pronounced Havroon. I don't know what you said, but it wasn't Havroon. And I
Havround.
About Havroon.
Havround.
Oh.
Havroon. We good?
Yes, we're good.
Okay. The Norn draws strength from their totem beasts, calling on them in battle, enabling the transformation of the Norn to their were form. They do not worship the spirits as greater beings, but venerate them for the strength that they bring to the Norn that calls them. While they do not worship or revere the 6 human gods, they do acknowledge them and their power. However, they do not refer to them by the names humans give them. Instead, they refer to them as spirits of action as a whole, and by what they govern individually. For example, Balthazar is war, and Cormyr is knowledge. So they refer to Cormyr as the spirit of knowledge. The government. The Norn do not have a central government or nation. Most Norn resist being followers and will not kneel before anyone. The closest thing to leadership comes from the respect gained from other Norn by those who have performed significant, widely recognized heroic deeds. Those Norn with exceptional strength and prowess in battle might establish a homestead, but they are not considered rulers of those living within it. Newt Whitebear is the master of the Holbrook Lodge, charged with keeping Holbrook safe. His sons lead the Wolfborn, which provides something of a peacekeeping role in Holbrook. So the history of the Norn. Little is known of the history of the Norn before they were first encountered in Guild Wars Eye of the North. The origin of the race isn't known, but there are theories. The Coden believe the Norn may be descended from a group of Coden hunters separated from the tribes during the Great Storm, becoming lesser creatures for giving up being bears. This contradicts the Norn belief their ability to transform was granted to them by the bear spirit. It isn't clear which, if either of these, are true. Drulin the Lost, a Jotun storyteller, claims that the Jotun and Norn once ruled over the Shiver Peak Mountains during the Age of Giants, but both races fell from their supremacy. The Norn at this point turned to the spirits of the wild, who helped the Norn stabilize their culture, while the Jotun fell into primitive nature. The Norn have always been nomadic people focused on hunting and individual goals and pursuits. For a brief while, the Norn were united as a race in the years after they assisted the downfall of the Great Destroyer in Guild Wars, but it did not take long for them to revert back to a nomadic, individualistic lifestyle. This did not stop them from convincingly holding their lands in the far Shiver Peaks against the invading Char warbands. The defense earned the respect of the Char, and something of a cooperative peace emerged from their mutual respect for each other, which has lasted for 200 years. As early as 1078 AE, the still dormant elder dragon Jormag's influence was already being felt among the Norn. Svanir was the first to hear Jormag's call, being permanently transformed into an ice bear form until his death. But over the years, many followed Jormag's call and Svanir's footsteps, forming the Sons of Svanir. They worship Jormag as their ultimate totem spirit. In 1165 AE, Jormag awoke in the Shiver Peaks, raising and transforming creatures of ice and snow to serve him. Tackling Jormag as individuals did not allow the Norn to hold their homes, and they were forced to travel south into the mountains that were abandoned by the dwarves. Here they established new homes, found new hunting grounds, and made new enemies. Here among the dwarven ruins, they met the Dredge, who they fight to this day for dominance over parts of the Shiver Peak. And that's it for the Norn. I really do think that there is a lot more than just the Coden and the All right, so I think we might have talked about this before, where there's a big write-up on Reddit about this too, where the Coden do believe that the Norn just used to be Coden at one time and lost their way. They lost their connection to Coda and therefore reverted back to a more human form, losing their bear form, although they're still allowed to take on their were form. The interesting thing about it is when they start talking about the Great Storm, you would think that would be the previous rising of Jormag, which was about 10,000 years ago. So Thrillin the Lost describes the Norn as being giants along with the Jotun, and they ruled the Shiver Peaks. They were housed in the northern Shiver Peaks, but then the Coden start talking about the Great Storm. Now, it is believed that the Great Storm was caused by Jormag during his first rise, and we do know that it was 10,000 years ago when the last time that the Elder Dragons awoke, Giganticus Lupicus. What is his name, Cora?
Lupicius? Giganticus Lupicus?
Oh, okay.
Lupicus, I think.
Yeah, Lupicus is how I say it.
Lupicus.
Lupicus.
Giganticus Lupicus.
Dealing with the wolf.
Yeah, Giganticus Lupicus.
Now they were huge giants, and they were killed 10,000 years ago. So it kind of, to me, makes sense that Thrillin the Lost's account of the Norn being giants in a time of giants, and the Coden belief that the Norn are descendants of lost Coden, it kind of goes hand in hand. To me, that makes a strong connection that it's probably true.
What's probably true? That they were giants or that they were Coden?
That they used to be Coden.
I think that they probably were Coden. That they got lost in that storm, and then they found spirits of the wild who helped them, and somehow they went from not, because this is where it gets the weird part. They look human. They look like giant human, but they look human. So how do you go from being a bear to being human who can take a bear form? And that's where there's something interesting there, that I feel like they had to have had more interaction than just meeting a spirit of the wild who saved them during the Great Storm.
Yeah.
They somehow took on an aspect of humanity. So they had to have come across humans somehow. And I'm not saying like interbreeding, but like something happened where they were able to take on an aspect of human, and that became their primary aspect. And now when they change back to bear, you know, it's taking on an aspect of bear, or what they used to be, is my theory.
Maybe it was the 6.
I mean, it could have been. We don't know what's going on.
That's all I got.
But something happened, because they were so far north that they didn't have any interaction with really any other race. I mean, the Jotun, but like they didn't have interaction with Tengu or Char.
Well, 10,000 years ago, there wouldn't have been any humans.
Right. But somehow they became human. So
well, the humanoid.
Humanoid. I mean, very humanoid.
It could be a possibility that the Coden just got stuck in their bear form, and they all look the same. So, but I just think that there's a couple more connections there that are overlooked, I guess. It's a strong possibility. So that's it for the Norn, the master race. So, Gallios, why don't you tell us about Sylvari?
Okay, so Sylvari. Sylvari are not born. They awaken beneath the pale tree with knowledge gleaned in their pre-life dream. These noble beings travel, seeking adventure and pursuing quest. They struggle to balance curiosity with duty, eagerness, and chivalry, and warfare with honor. Magic and mystery entwine to shape the future of this race that has so recently appeared. The Sylvari are a young, inquisitive race of botanical humanoids. The first Sylvari sprouted from the pale tree in Arbor Bay, emerging in 1302 AE. The tree was planted by Ronan and raised by Ventari, who were attempting to escape the violence that engulfed Tyria. Their physiology. The Sylvari are omnivorous humanoid plants, which means they eat meat and potatoes. Some Sylvari closely resemble humans, but with a fey cast to their features, such as tilted eyes and pointed ear tips. Most display plant-like features such as hard wood for bone structure, have foliage and petals for hair, and bark acting as flesh. They glow during the night. That's the part I like the best, I think.
Oh, it's so pretty.
Golden sap moves through their veins instead of blood, and pollen falls off of them as they move. They are much more slender than the average human and about a head shorter. While Sylvari can seemingly absorb sunlight and become rejuvenated, they still must eat and drink to survive. Sylvari do in fact have thermoreceptors as referenced by a Sylvari explorer in the Grove. She states that she dislikes Holbrick as it is too cold. However, explorer Cilia states that the cold does not affect Sylvari. Sylvari emerge fully formed from golden fruit pods which grow on the branches of the pale tree. While many scholars now speculate on the Sylvari's humanoid appearance, the original explanation was that the pale tree based it on her knowledge of Ronan, creating an abstract image of human biology. Malik, who was born from a different tree, cast doubt upon the accuracy of this explanation, and the matter is considered unresolved. Sylvari gender is selected by the pale tree prior to each individual's emergence, and is distinguished by the same general features as human genders, although they lack reproductive capabilities. It is unknown to outsiders if the Sylvari die of old age, as they are known to have died only through violence, poison, or disease and do not appear to age. When a Sylvari is harmed, tendrils form over the wound and the bark expands to recover the area, leaving no scar. They heal at the same general rate as humans. All Sylvari have luminescent cells in their skin, causing them to glow in the dark. Prior to emergence, they share a bond with the pale tree, which they call the Dream of Dreams. In this dream, a growing Sylvari is exposed to the consciousness of the pale tree and the vast pool of knowledge accumulated by all previous Sylvari. When a new one emerges, a portion of this knowledge remains with them, including basic wisdom and understanding from the pale tree, and a small fraction of what other Sylvari have seen and experienced, though this rarely includes specific memories. After emergence, the bond with the pale tree is weaker, but it links all Sylvari and, to an extent, other plants. On rare occasion, twins can emerge from the same pod, and they exhibit a greater empathy toward one another. Sylvari cannot be corrupted by most elder dragons, but simply die instead. This has been revealed to be the pale tree's doing. Ogden Stonehealer hinted that this was caused by their ties to the Dream of Dreams. The only exception to this immunity is the influence of Mordramoth, the elder dragon of plants and mind, whose corrupting influence transforms a Sylvari into a Mordrum guard. Sylvari culture. Sylvari are usually honest, direct, and focused, taking most things at face value, with the dream ensuring there is so much in common with the other Sylvari. Experience is cherished for creating uniqueness between them. They are eager to learn, experience, and understand. Sylvari morality and ethics are based on those of the pale tree. These were formed by following the lives of Ronan and Ventari during the early growth of the pale tree and later written on Ventari's tablet situated at the base of the tree. After emergence, the Sylvari is guided by other Sylvari to understand what they have dreamed and ensure that they have a clear understanding of the tablet, their history, and the world. Despite the kickstart of knowledge from the dream, they still seem naive, as there are some matters which seem beyond their comprehension. Emotions and tact, in particular, are difficult for them to grasp. So often a Sylvari will state out loud something which would normally be politely avoided by other races. Death, too, is not fully understood, but viewed as something to be embraced, and as with many things in Sylvari life, is viewed with a great degree of curiosity. These views serve to form an acceptance of and fascination with death that other races may find disturbing. As they are all born from the pale tree, they could be considered all of the same family. However, their family bond is not as strong as most families, with many Sylvari considering others more like distinct relatives with few exceptions, such as twins born from the same pod, or those who shared dreams, though the latter may also result in lovers. Romance is practiced among the Sylvari, disregarding gender between those involved. To a Sylvari, love is spiritual and eternal, regardless of physical form and contact, and sexuality is simply a natural part of life. So long as it is entered into with goodwill and joy, the gender doesn't make a difference. Sylvari craft their armor and weapons from organic materials such as roots, leaves, or leather, and sometimes grow their armor out of their own bodies in the form of leafy padding, spines, or bark. Their religion. The Sylvari have an agnostic view of the human gods, wishing to see proof of the gods' existence and work. They venerate the Ventari tablet as their most sacred artifact and testament. The pale tree is also much revered, though more as a wise parent than as a deity. If the Sylvari need counseling, they often travel to the heart of the mighty tree and commune with her there. Government. The pale tree leads the Sylvari. She manifests a spectral being in a chamber at the base of the tree to communicate with others easily and give her guidance and instructions. Various Sylvari act as ambassadors to the other races, and will send reports to her so that she may judge what to do. On difficult decisions, the pale tree will call upon the firstborn, and any Sylvari who may be a specialist in the situation or situations. The firstborn, being the oldest and having the most experience of the world, act as leaders to the Sylvari, being respected for their wisdom, and in turn, they lead the Sylvari underneath the pale tree. 4 of them in particular, one of each cycle, have taken on positions of leadership, organization, teaching, and guidance for the Sylvari people. Sylvari names, as well as place their names in their starting zone, Caledon Forest, are generally inspired by Celtic, Irish, Scots, Gaelic, and Welsh names. Sylvari do not have surnames, as they're all part of the same family, though to each other they are more like distant relatives except in special cases. Sylvari do not choose their names, nor are they outright given by the pale tree or other Sylvari. Instead, the Sylvari simply know their names upon awakening. Though why is never explored, and the Sylvari do not question why this is. Sylvari history. The origin of the Sylvari is still unclear. What is known is that the pale tree was born of a fist-sized seed from a cave which Ronan, a human soldier, found. This cave was said to have been guarded by monstrous plant creatures, though any details on them or the location of the tree is unknown, even to modern Sylvari, who have been looking for this cave since their race's birth from the pale tree. On returning to home, Ronan discovered his home destroyed and his family killed by the Mersat. He planted the seed on the graves of his family and swore never to fight again. Ronan formed an unlikely friendship with the centaur Ventari, and together they built a refuge near the growing tree for those who sought peace and shelter. As the pale tree grew, the war between the centaurs and Crichtons became more brutal. Fewer listened to Ventari, and the outpost grew smaller. Before he passed away in 1180 AE, Ventari carved his life lessons on a tablet, which he placed at the base of the tree in the hope travelers might read it. Over 100 years later, golden fruit formed at the first time on the pale tree. In 1302 AE, these opened to reveal the firstborn of the Sylvari. The tablet at the base of the tree and the dream of dreams guide the Sylvari, who are imprinted by the morality and ethics of Vintari and the bravery of Ronan. 2 years later, in 1304 AE, the second-born began to emerge from the pale tree. The first of the second-born was Cadarn, who became the founder of the Nightmare Court. After the second-born, Sylvari continued to sprout from the pale tree with an increasing rate. In 1325 AE, a Sylvari named Malik was discovered who did not emerge from the pale tree or share in the dream. His pod was discovered on the western edge of a river that runs through Brisbane wildlands, suggesting his tree lies somewhere in the heart of Maguma. Called the Harbinger by the Nightmare Court, he traveled towards Magus Falls, promising to return with allies. However, his fate is unknown, and no other pale trees have yet been found. Dun, dun, dun. What a neat story.
I love Malik. I love Malik's story.
What if he's from the same tree that dropped the original pale tree seed?
I mean, that'd be cool. I have a feeling what they intended to do with him, and this is not saying that they have to keep it this way. I have a feeling it was supposed to be in Heart of Thorns. We were going to find Malik and discover his pale tree and either see it turn into a blighting tree or it's already been turned into a blighting tree.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like that's what was supposed to happen. I know we've talked about it and they've said like, yeah, we're probably never going to go back to Malik. I feel like they could very, very easily by making a fractal where it's set during Heart of Thorns and we come across Malik. We could be just, troops that where our ship got shot down. We fell out of the sky. Oh, here's Malik. And either we see Malik get turned into something that's corrupted or he's already been corrupted and we're seeing him fall deeper into that almost like dementia of evilness, or we see him resist and try to help us and maybe get cut down. I think you could do so much with it. In a fractal, it's contained, but it would close out that story and you wouldn't have to try and figure out, well, how do we fit him back in with the world? And we've already moved on from Heart of Thorns. You moved on from Heart of Thorns, but you never closed up Malik's storyline. You can close it up very easily and put a new fractal into the game. People love fractals. Put a new fractal in, close up Malik's storyline right there.
Yeah, I'm curious about it.
I think it's more likely to come in a raid. I know.
Seeing that they seem to love the raids and love hiding good story behind the raids.
Yeah, fractals seem to be based on either events of the past or events in the present, I guess, that are happening in different parts of the mist.
I think they could put it in a fractal because then it wouldn't have to be like, oh, this is part of the raid wing and why are we going back into Mordremoth's territory? It would be considered an event of the past. We've already moved on from Mordremoth. This is just like the Thermonova reactor. Like that happened in the past. It didn't need to be covered. They didn't need to plug Scarlet into it. But
everybody voted for Alan Keel.
I'm
Team Nashblade.
Just saying it would fit in with that thing of this was a recent past timeline event. And it's showing another side to something that we already know happened. Mm-hmm. We already know about the lore of, okay, pack ships got shot down. We all went and fought Mordremoth, blighting trees, blah, 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 blah. Oh, here's Malik. Here's what happened. Here's why we never saw, why the pack commander never saw, our characters never ran into him again, even though some of our, if you played that Sylvari personal story or whoever personal story it was, you saw Malik. Why don't we ever see him again? Here's why. Here's why your character who saw him before and never saw him again is because we would go in and they turn you into Char and they turn you into whatever in some of the fractals. Turn us into, whatever you want, like humans, Char, like we're a mixed race group of people.
Yeah.
And we fell out of one of the ships. Oh, and here's Malik.
But that amount of story is, I just think, too much for a fractal. An average fractal is going to be maybe 15 to 20 minutes.
I could do it. I was going to say you could do it. You maybe not. I could totally write that storyline.
I bet you could, but I think I'm not going to argue about it.
Because here's the thing. You don't have to give us a living story season's worth of. I'm not talking give me a novel so that I find out what happens to him. I'm not talking about give me even a novella's length. I'm talking flash fiction. I mean, you can drop us in the middle of the event, at the end of the event, whatever. You can hit us with a flash fiction equivalent of here's just this tiny little thing to hit you with a fist punch of lore and just wrap up that storyline of.
They could. You're right.
Yeah, Malik arrives out of nowhere and he's saying, "I found my tree, but it didn't speak to me." And all of a sudden, something happened, and now they're attacking, and I hear this voice, and it's and it can be we see him get corrupted, and we have to cut him down, or he comes out of nowhere and attacks us, and he's already corrupted, he's already Mordrum, or he helps save us. And we see him get cut down. We can't save him. And then that could be something really cool where if they wanted to tie back in with the world outside of the fractal, they could very easily just put like a marker, a memorial in the game of, okay, this is the spot where that fractal took place. And here is, in tribute to the fallen Sylvari who helped save us. And that would be it. And then that would then drive people who don't ever really do fractals to go like, wait a second, this is Malik's grave? Oh my God, where do I find that story? Oh, it's in the new fractal? I want to go into the fractal now. So, I mean, and you don't, like I'm saying, you don't have to do that, but that could be a very quick asset to drop in that gets people interested to go back into fractals. But either way, you don't have to write this massive novel length lore fractal. It can be just a quick hit of we're just wrapping up the storyline so you can see what happened and why we are never going to see him again because he got killed. I mean,
you are right, but I feel that it's more likely to come out in a raid. I mean, that's just my opinion. All right, so Gallios, anything else?
Nope, that was it.
Right.
There was some other stuff I thought about covering, but I was worried about it taking too long. Like we just went through that whole thing of healing Kalidbog and finding out some history that I didn't even know before. And I was going to go down that rabbit hole, but I didn't know how long it would take, so I really didn't prepare to keep going.
Yeah,
because the wiki was a bit long.
New. Yeah, that might be still a little too new.
Yeah. So, but anyway, it's a much more interesting race than I expected. It was actually really cool looking into it.
Yeah. All right. So that is going to do it for our lore special. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. And we're back. Yay.
Boom.
That was so quick.
It was.
It's like we never left.
Because we didn't. All right. So that's it. That's our show. Hope you guys like it. We like doing the lore specials. We try and space them out a little bit more, but you got to make chicken salad out of chicken shit sometimes. So.
Oh, that's just gross.
No, you never have to. No.
One should never do so.
You never heard that phrase before?
Please? No. And I hope to never hear it again.
All right. So, Gallios, we got any shout outs? I heard we got a 5-star review again.
We did. We did. I was so excited about reading it because, the last two we didn't have anything new. So we did get a shout out. So we did get a 5-star review. And we don't just call out 5-star reviews. We will call out every one of them. We've been fortunate to get 5 stars. So this one is from a poor boy from West Virginia, and that would be Rain. I was introduced to Guild Wars 2 by the Angry Joe YouTube channel several years ago. While I'm not much of a PC gamer, the thought of an MMO had always intrigued me. Before I decided to give Guild Wars 2 a try, I downloaded the first few episodes of this podcast to get an idea of the community. I was immediately blown away by Gord and Gallios' knowledge and banter. Then there was the wonderful addition of Cora. Over the past several weeks, you've all been so helpful in answering my many questions via Twitter and being patient with a poor boy from West Virginia. Thank you so much for such a wonderful podcast and for being such amazing people. I believe that you are a perfect reflection of this wonderful game. Keep up the fantastic work. I can't even begin to describe how cool that was to read.
Yeah, that's our friend. That's our friend Rev Boyard.
Yes. So thank you, Rev. Thank you so much. What a glowing review. We really appreciate it.
I feel so happy. You called me out so nicely. Versus the last person who called me out where I was like, oh, I feel super bummed. This is nice. I'm like blushing. I'm so happy.
Aw. Well, we did get an email from Rev 2, just following up on some of the Guild Wars 3 stuff we talked about. He had some good ideas. We just didn't have time to go through them in the show, but I did share it with Gallios and Cora. And thank you for writing in, buddy. Glad we could be of assistance.
Yes, thank you very much. I really, really enjoyed reading that. Thank you.
Any other shout outs, buddy?
Not this week. I am putting together a list and I didn't have it finished. I was a little running behind today, so
that's good.
Didn't do everything I was supposed to, but I promise I will have them on the next show. I'll be ready for the next show.
Nice. All right, Corey, you have any shout outs?
I'm going to give my shout outs to Audrey, the girl who, I paid her to do it, but she still made an amazing drawing of my main.
I was going to say, it's amazing.
It's so pretty. Oh my God. Seriously, guys, you can find it on my Twitter or on my Instagram. Go check it out. She is so talented. Takes commissions, really reasonably priced commissions, although if too many of you go, she might start jacking up her prices and I won't be able to afford her. So she's amazing. At Audrey Art, you can find her on Instagram for sure. I believe she's also on Twitter with the same, not avatar, but the same name, at Audrey Art. And she's just super talented. So I cannot wait to commission more work from her for some of my other characters and maybe even an actual portrait of myself because she's that good. I would just have her draw me and then I would hang it over my imaginary fireplace like I'm English nobility. She's that cool. So thank you. Thank you so much, Audrey, for making a gorgeous picture of character. It's a video game character, but Guild Wars is a big part of my life, and it's not just a video game character. It is an aspect of me. So thank you.
Nice. I'm looking for my shout-out.
I was gonna say, Gord, do you have any shout-outs?
I do.
I thought she was gonna say Gord.
It started that way. Tonight we've all been saying things a little off tonight with teeth and I don't know what you guys said, but I know I caught a couple things. I was like, whatever.
So, Gord, who do you have shout-outs for, buddy?
Well, yes, Gallios, I do have a shout-out. I want to shout out to Alex Cook at Alco00227 on Twitter, who reached out to Kit today, who's getting part of this shout-out. Go, Kit. And was welcomed quite heartily to the Twitter Guild Wars 2 community with many suggestions of who to follow and what to listen to and
like
everything
a whole
else.
list of them, right?
Yeah, we sent out a bunch of stuff. So So it was really cool. So I just wanted to say welcome to Go Wars, and don't listen to half the things I say, and make your own decisions.
Most of it.
I wouldn't say most of it, because then you'll miss out on the great theory crafting that I do.
That most of it.
Oh, stop it, you.
Stuck in my throat.
So yeah, we had a good time with Alex on Twitter, and hope to see more tweets from people that are joining the game. I like to hear when people are joining the game, and I know I'm very vocal about the game and everything else, but everybody should play the game and make up their own mind about the game, and that's that. All right, so Gallios, if the good people want to get in touch with you, how can they do that?
They can get in touch with me in-game at Gallios.8142. If you want to touch base with me on Twitter, that would be at Gallios_Guild Wars 2. And if you happen to be in our Discord server, I'm Gallios #3334.
Nice. All right, Cora, if the good people want to get in touch with you, how can they do that?
You can find me on Twitter at Guild Lores. I'm also on Instagram at Guild Lores and Tumblr and Discord. Just go to social media, any social media, and look up Guild Lores, and you'll find me.
Cool. All right. If you want to get in touch with the show, you can email us at sotdpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at SOTD_podcast. And you can get everything SOTD Podcast at SOTDpodcast.com. You can also find us on mognation.engine.com and everywhere else in the Go Wars universe. If you want to get in touch with me, you can reach me at Gord the Norn on Twitter. You can get me on Discord at Gord #4133. And if you want to join our Discord, the link is in our show notes. You can also get me in game at Gord.8654 when I'm there and not playing Mass Effect. So another good one, guys.
Oh, another good one. Another good one.
Yep. Good job.
Good job. Virtual high fives to everyone.
Yay.
All right, so that's gonna close out another one. We got a couple more shows before our scorecard. So the scorecard is coming. We'll probably cover Sab next, and that's about it.
Yep. So guten Nacht, meine Damen und Herren, and everybody that speaks English. Have a great night.
Yeah, what he said.
Or day.
I can say good night in American Sign Language. Good night.
Awesome.
That was beautiful.
That's all I got. My grandma and my mom never taught me Spanish.
I can
when we
curse
get to our
in
live
7
show,
languages.
we'll be able to do
Yeah.
that.
I can curse in 7 languages.
Buenos noches.
No, that's
that was about as much as that's about as much Spanish as they ever told me. So.
All right. Yeah. All right. So have a good night. Later, people.
Later.
I mean, it started that way. Tonight, we've all been saying things a little off tonight with teeth. And I don't know what you guys said, but I know I caught a couple things. I was like, whatever.
So, Gord, who do you have shout outs for, buddy?
I'm looking still.
You're not ready?
I wasn't. I know.
I have to take up for him. He has been busting his behind, so I gotta give him a little bit of leeway.
You've been. I mean, yeah, you're in your life outside of this. Yeah, you've been super busy, and then, I mean, you're the main host of the show, and then you do all the editing, and you've been trying to get the sound equipment to function, and it's been finicky. So yeah, you're doing a good job.
Yeah, he gets a yard pass.
I know, but I gotta poke at him a little bit.
That's fine. You can poke. I like being poked.
Poke the bear. Poke the bear. With a very, very long stick.
Hold on. Like half my tweets aren't showing up. That's the issue with Twitter. It knows what I'm looking for and it won't show it to me. God damn, this sucks. Oh my god. What is going on, Twitter, you asshole?
I mean, do you want me to try and look it up for you?
I don't know if it's because I'm on tablet or what is going on. But hold on. Like every single retweet I did is here except the one I'm looking for.
Did you actually retweet it? Or just think you retweeted it?
No, I did. Who is that? I'm looking for that person who shouted. Who's like, I'm a noob.
Oh!
That's who I was looking to shout out, but I can't find it.
Well, let me see if I can pull it up on mine.
This is killing me. Killing me.
Yeah. Log into Guild Lore's Twitter. Notifications. Why do I have 6 notifications?
Because somebody notified you.
I'm gonna have to scroll for a while.
Ah, I got it.
Did you?
Okay.